Hello, welcome to volume 2 of a Java programming tutorial series. My name is Lawson Luke. In this tutorial, I will be taking a look at method creation, constructors, getting user inputs, types of